In October of 2011, I had my first look at this distribution, and I have watched this mature over the past 2 years. Every release just keeps getting better and better, and it has earned a number 8 slot over the past 12 months in terms of popularity on DistroWatch.com. I'm speaking about Manjaro Linux, and we are looking at the 088 snapshot right now on Spatry's Cup of Linux. Before I begin, I want to state that I'm going to be doing this review a little bit differently than other reviews that I have done. Since Manjaro comes in several different flavors, I want to do some demonstrations in some of the different desktops that are available. Now, I'm not going to be covering all of the different desktops, but I want to show you that there are some similarities that go between the different distributions, as you'll see. One thing about Manjaro Linux that makes this unique is that it is based on Arch Linux. This uses a rolling release model. Now, this has not reached version 1 yet, so this is still considered beta software. But this is also good enough for day-to-day use. But every release just keeps getting better and better, and the thing that makes Manjaro different is the fact that this is user-friendly. If you want to install Arch Linux, you would have to use the command line to install it, and you would have to follow an extensive guide. But this distribution makes it easy for you because there is a graphical installer that you can use or a command line installer, so you could have it either way that you want. First, we are looking at the XFCE desktop. And pretty much this installer looks very similar to the Ubuntu installer, or the Linux Mint installer, I should say. Just following the prompts is very easy to do. You can see the same installer in action on KDE. And of course, here is the installer in action in OpenBox. Now, some of you may be asking, well, what if I want additional features in the installer, such as LVM support, or being able to encrypt those drives? Well, this can be done by running the installer from a terminal. Just open a terminal in the live CD. It doesn't matter which edition you are running. And then just typing in thus, that is THUS space -S. And this will give you additional features, as you can see here on the screen, showing you that you can get logical volume management, you can encrypt those drives, and of course put passwords into them. How cool is that? In this next demonstration, you are seeing the command line installer. Just basically go through everything in order. Of course, if you skip one, it will give you a warning, letting you know that you should probably go back to the prior step and do that first. So I thought that was pretty neat as well. Now, I am not showing the command line installer in each of these scenarios because they are identical, just like the graphical installer. Let's start with OpenBox. Now, if you download the ISO image for this version, you're going to notice it's small enough to fit on a CD. Okay, so this does not have a lot of applications bundled into this. Great for those of you who want a nice lightweight system that you can run on older hardware and build on top of. But I need to cover a few things with you guys so that you have a better understanding of what it is you're getting here. Right-clicking on your desktop brings up a menu where you can go into drivers and support. This can detect and install graphics drivers using the Manjaro hardware detection tool. You can either choose non-free or you can choose the free and open source drivers for your graphics. If you're going to do any gaming, you're probably going to want the non-free drivers. You can install full multimedia support. This will enable you to play your DVDs and all of your other media files that you may have. You can install the full Arch user repository support. This is necessary if you want to get packages that are not included in the main Manjaro repositories, but you'll want to get them from the Arch user repository. And by having that enabled, Yowert will enable you to build your packages and install them on the fly without much difficulty at all. This doesn't come with printing support out of the box, so you will need to install that if you need it. You can install a graphical software manager for this, and of course you can install the Manjaro settings manager. That was not included either. Another thing that makes Manjaro GNU Linux great is the fact that you can run multiple kernels on this. Let's go ahead and open up a terminal here, and then by issuing this command, Manjaro Hardware Detection Tool, or MHWD TAC kernel TAC L, will give you a list of the kernels that are available. By using the sudo command, MHWT TAC kernel TAC I, let's say I want to install Linux 3.8, by pressing enter here, it'll ask you for your password. And not only is it going to install the kernel for you, it is also going to install other dependencies that may be needed to run with the kernel. For instance, if you are using a proprietary graphics driver, it will download the latest version for that. And as you can see from the output here, after it's synchronized everything, you're going to see that not only is it getting that kernel here, it will also install the NDIS wrapper for those of you who are using a Windows driver to get your wireless or your network cards working. And then, of course, because I'm running this as a virtual machine, it detects that I need the VirtualBox guest modules for this. And something else I want to note, that all of the offerings that are available for Manjaro Linux are all VirtualBox friendly. So this is great for those of you who just want to try it out in a virtual machine and test it in a virtual environment before installing it. This is perfect for that. Now, something to note, even though you're seeing me do this on the OpenBox edition, you can do this on any version of Manjaro. So if you're running XFCE version, you're running KDE, Gnome, Cinnamon, or Enlightenment 17, whichever version you choose to run, you will be able to run these commands to get the latest kernel or whichever kernel that you decide you wish to run. So by going into the right-click menu and into drivers and support, I installed some of these options. I installed the Arch user repository support. I did install the graphical software manager, which is Octopi. And then I installed the Manjaro settings manager. So let's go into settings here, and you will see we have the Manjaro settings manager here. This is where you can manage your language packages, your user accounts, and keyboard settings. So right-clicking and then going into System here, you can select Add Remove Software. This will open up Octopi, and Octopi will let you easily install applications in a graphical user interface, so you don't even have to open up a terminal if you don't wish to do so. Okay, so let's say I want to edit images. Well, we all know that the GIMP is popular for that, so we can just type that in. And you can see immediately we have a nice listing of applications that are available. Okay, we have the main GIMP, which is in the extra repository, and then some plugins for it, which are in the community repository. But if you want to just build it yourself, you can do that as well by hitting the drop down here and selecting Yowert. Okay, and then it will search through the Arch user repository, and you will see that you can, if you wanted to, you could get the GIMP development version if you want to have the latest and greatest. So, and that's the nice thing about this, because you can select this, okay, and right click on it and select install. Okay, this will now open a terminal for you, and it will ask you, do you want to edit the package build? Well, you can if you want to, if you press yes, or you can press no. Okay, it'll go ahead and look for the packages or the dependencies that are required to build it. I'm going to say no, I'm not going to do that. And then it will ask you if you want to continue building this software. This is really cool because it makes it very easy for you to build packages on the fly. And, of course, you can do this in any of the offerings that are available in Manjaro Linux, as I'm going to show you right now. All right, now we're having a look at the KDE Edition over here, and I got to tell you, kids, this is a nice edition as well. We're greeted with a welcome screen where you can view a README, new features, you can visit the wiki, you can go on the forums. Special greets to Ringo32 for all of his hard work that he does in the chat rooms and on the forums. You're not going to see an elitist attitude here. You can visit the IRC room and you can get help 24/7 usually, and who knows, you may even get in there at the right time and even get a chance to speak with the developer. He pops in there from time to time, so that's always a good thing. You can get on the mailing list, you can get involved, you can get information on building your own spin of Manjaro, and of course, you can donate. And I highly recommend that you do, because this is a distribution that's well worth investing your money in. Another interesting feature of the KDE version is you have two options for installing packages. You can use Octopi, and it's the same exact software that is in the OpenBox edition, or if you wish, you can run Pemic. The difference between the two is Pemic does not give you access to the Arch user repository. So, if you want to get packages from the Arch user repository in a graphical user interface, you can here, but it's still going to open up a terminal. Now, if you just want to install packages that are in the repos, you can use the regular Pemic package manager by using the add remove software link. So this is there are two options that are available to you here. If you want to get packages from the Arch user repository, you would want to use Yowert in your search for anything that you would want to install. So let's say you wanted a development version of AbiWord. You could install this from the Arch user repository, whereas, you know, if you use Pemic to install AbiWord, you're only going to be able to find the latest stable version and then some plugins to go with it. You also get the Manjaro Settings Manager, where you can manage your language packs, your user accounts, and keyboard settings. And included with this is the KDE System Settings, where you can take this and customize it to your heart's content. Pressing F12 on the keyboard will give you the Yakwake drop-down terminal. So now you can easily issue commands in the terminal here. Next on our tour is my personal favorite, the XFCE edition. I like XFCE because it is lighter weight and it is easy to customize. Now, in our little tour here, I'm going to show you that you can easily add or remove software using Pemic, which is its graphical installer that you see here. But this does not have access to the Arch user repository. But if you do want to access the Arch user repository, you can install Octopi. And you can see that you can not only install that, but you can also install the notifier, which will place an icon here that'll let you know that you have packages that are ready for update and installation if you wish to do this. Personally, I don't use any graphical installers for installing packages in Manjaro GNU Linux. I prefer to use the terminal. And as I'm going to show you here, this is a lot easier for installing applications. For instance, let's go ahead and open up a terminal here. And by the way, greets goes out to Matthew Moore because he did a demonstration of this on his channel. Let's say if you were in an Ubuntu-based distribution and you wanted to install a package that is not in the repository. You would have to run sudo add apt repository, the package that you want. Let's say maybe you wanted to get a package for KDE Live. You know, you'd have to run sudo add apt repository and then the address for the package. Then you'd have to run sudo apt-get update and then sudo apt-get install the package. But if you wanted to get something that isn't in the repositories in Manjaro Linux, you would just simply run this command, yaourt, and then you would run the name of the package. So let's say KDE Live. Okay, and now it's telling me that we have 096 from the community that you could install. Okay, and when you see something like community, that means if you were to select this one by typing in 1, okay, it would install that from the community. All you'd need to do is just add your password. Okay, but if you were to select 2 to install this from the Arch user repository, then there are some prompts you would need to follow. But this would build it for you on the fly. So you don't even have to go through the hassle of making sure that you have all the dependencies and that sort of thing to build this. This does it for you. So Yaourt is a powerful tool to use in the terminal, and it is so easy and user-friendly. That's why I use this command so much. Now, I'm not going to install anything like that, but let's say we want the GIMP. So I could type in Yaourt, GIMP. Okay, and you'll see there are a lot of choices here. Okay, well, we can scroll up here. And it looks like I already have the GIMP installed. But let's say I want to add extra features to it now. I could do this. Let's say I want that pot race plugin. I could type in 2 space 3 to add Xane support, space 4 to, you know, I could put in a number of these. So I could say, okay, I want number 2, I want number 5, I want number 7. So there'd be 2 space 5 space 7. And so you can install all of those things really, really easily. So using a graphical user interface is not a necessity if you don't want to use it. I use the terminal because it's just so much easier for me to do and so much quicker. If we go into settings here, you will also see that you can manage a lot of other settings with this. You get the Manjaro settings manager with this. And as with the other versions we looked at, you can manage your language packages, your language user accounts, and keyboard settings. And of course, if you want to get into the other settings, there's an icon for it right here on the whisker menu. So clicking here gets you into all settings, and you can manage your settings here for other things as well. So this makes it nice and easy for you to configure this and really make it your own. And then of course, if you want more fun stuff that you can do with your XFCE desktop, you can definitely check out my channel, and I show you how to do all kinds of fun things with it. And as you can see, I've done an awful lot with my XFCE desktop. And I mean, I've really customized this thing to the hilt. And, you know, that's a nice thing I love about XFCE. It's so customizable. I've been joking on my IRC channel that I'm running KFCE because basically I'm running an XFCE desktop, but all of the applications that I'm using in my system are KDE applications. I'm using Dolphin. I'm using KSysGuard to manage my system processes and that sort of thing. And a lot of KDE applications. And that is what's so cool about this because, you know, you can customize this and really, really make it your own. Okay, so we've looked at OpenBox, we've looked at the KDE Edition, and we've looked at the XFCE Edition. But some of you might be asking, well, what about Gnome or Cinnamon? Well, those are available too, as you can see here on the screen. There's a little quick snapshot of the Gnome desktop, a quick snapshot of the Cinnamon desktop. There is also an Enlightenment 17 version. Unfortunately, I'm not displaying this one because of the fact that it was not available at the time I started this project. But I imagine that once it does become available, you can download that from the SourceForge pages, or you could just download the 087 version of Enlightenment 17 and then just simply opening a terminal, running sudo pacman #SYYU will get you up to the latest version. But I imagine they will be releasing an E17 version fairly soon. So at the end of the day, I really love what Manjaro keeps bringing to the table. Now, I've been running this for a little bit over 6 months, and I only had one update cause a problem where my Broadcom Wi-Fi wasn't working properly, but I was easily able to downgrade the package. So, as stated earlier in the video, this would be considered, quote, beta software. Would I recommend this to beginners? Absolutely. But only Windows or Mac users with several years of experience using a computer. You know how to make good use of IRC. You know how to use search online for problem solving and troubleshooting. Those are the kind of beginners that I'm speaking of. But somebody that is a complete neophyte where computers are, you may want to start out with an Ubuntu-based distribution. Also, greets goes out to Phil Mueller, the developer of Manjaro Linux. You and your team are doing a magnificent job. I love the direction this keeps going in, so keep up the good work, and I will keep letting my viewers and all of my friends know about this magnificent distribution. And as a reminder to all of you, please support the show hosts who are bringing you the content that you enjoy the most by either disabling your ad blockers or shouting them some coffee. Peace out.